"Get out." That's what she screamed at me the moment I stepped back onto the land my uncle left me. "This is my community. The HOA runs everything here." Her voice was sharp, almost shaking with rage, and for a second I thought I'd walked into some kind of war zone instead of my childhood summers. She had fake badges, tactical backup 3 black SUVs with flashing lights, like this was a federal raid, and all of it was aimed at me, the guy who legally owned the cabin she was trying to surround with caution tape. I should have felt angry, but mostly I felt this icy confusion crawling down my spine like I'd stumbled into a play where everyone knew the script but me. That cabin wasn't just property. It was summers chasing my buddy Tommy through the cornfield's rope swings on the oak tree my uncle built himself, Mrs. Patterson setting cookies on her window ledge while we raced our bikes past her house. Coming back here was supposed to be peace. Instead, I found Derek, some guy in a tactical vest, pretending to be security stringing tape around the place, while a woman named Molyn Pierce strutted out like she was commanding a SWAT team. Blonde hair pulled tight, HOA patches sewn on her vest clipboard in her hand like it was a weapon. "Mr. Phillips, this property has 17 violations, unpermitted modifications, structural hazards, environmental risks. We're here to protect the community." Protect the community. From what an empty cabin. My heart was hammering as she waved official papers in my face. Papers with county letterhead codes, statutes. It all looked legitimate until I noticed the performance the way Derek announced perimeter secure. Like this was a military drill, the way her speech sounded rehearsed, too polished. Then she started listing repairs my uncle had done in the basement. My uncle's basement workshop. A place nobody ever went but family. How the hell did this woman know about that? By the next morning, a thick packet slid under my door, 3 pages of violation notices, complete with photos clearly taken inside the property. Inside. That meant someone had been trespassing on my land for months, maybe years. At the bottom, comply within 30 days or face property seizure. I hadn't even unpacked my bags yet, and already I was being threatened with losing the only piece of home I had left. I called her back, demanded answers. Her voice came through the phone, calm, rehearsed. "Mr. Phillips' remediation will cost $47,000. The HOA is willing to help. $47,000 for repairs I wasn't even sure existed. When I told her I'd checked county offices and found no HOA charter for this area, silence stretched so long I thought she hung up. Then she snapped back colder this time. "You're making accusations without understanding the legal complexities. This community operates under private covenants." Private covenants. My uncle never mentioned anything like that. That's when I almost gave up. I sat there with those papers spread across the table, my head pounding. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I didn't know the full story. Maybe this woman really did have some kind of authority. The neighbors were starting to glare at me, whisper behind my back. My own wife was calling me from California, telling me maybe I should just sell and walk away. For a minute I wondered if I was crazy to fight. Was I really willing to throw my life savings into a legal pit just to defend a cabin? Then I found the folder. Uncle Nathan's folder, tucked away with Neighborhood Watch, scribbled on the tab. Inside notes, photographs, timestamps of fake inspections, license plates written in his shaky handwriting. Even a business card from Riverside Development Corporation with a meeting scheduled the week he died. Pages and pages of research about fraudulent violation notices, intimidation tactics, families being squeezed for money that vanished into thin air, and one line scrawled in red ink, "Brandon owns more than he knows." My stomach dropped. Whatever Nathan uncovered, it got him killed or close enough. I wasn't alone, though. Sandra, my neighbor, showed up one evening pale as a ghost. She confessed Molyn had roped her into providing community service by tracking financial records, mortgages, credit scores, who could afford to fight, who would cave. She thought she was helping. Turns out she was feeding Molyn ammunition to bleed families dry. The guilt shook her voice, tears in her eyes as she said, "My God, what have I done?" Then Jake Miller, my old college buddy, now with the sheriff's department, ran background checks for me. Derek had a record assault, lost his security license, no legal authority. Molyn had a history of power trips fired from management jobs for overstepping. and Riverside Development, a 2-year-old company snapping up land across the county, needing large continuous plots for a massive project. Exactly the kind of project that would require, well, about 137 acres. That number stopped me cold. 137 acres. The deed research confirmed it. My inheritance wasn't just the cabin, it was the ground under most of the houses in this entire community. My neighbors thought they owned their homes outright. They owned the buildings, sure. But the land beneath, that was mine. Suddenly everything made sense. The fake HOA, the intimidation, the desperate push to force me out. They didn't just want my cabin, they wanted control of the entire neighborhood. So when Mullen called a big community meeting painting me as some outsider threatening their property values, I came prepared. She stood up there with her clipped voice telling everyone I was destabilizing the neighborhood, that their homes were at risk because of me. And for a while, the crowd believed her. Angry shouts filled the room. People who used to bake me cookies as a kid were glaring at me like I was a criminal. I waited until the noise peaked, then laid it out. Uncle Nathan's notes, Riverside Development's timelines, forged HOA documents, the survey maps showing the land I now owned, and then Derek, shaking pale, stood up beside me. He admitted everything. He'd been manipulated, used as muscle, handed a place to sleep in exchange for bullying innocent families. And worst of all, he had recordings. Recordings of Mullen bragging that some problems solve themselves if you wait. A week later, my uncle was dead. The room froze. You could feel the air crackle as realization spread. This wasn't about property values. This was about power greed, maybe even murder. Mullen's face went crimson, her mask slipping for the first time. "You people are ungrateful," she shrieked. "Without me, you'd be living in chaos. I built this community. I protected you." Her voice climbed higher, hysteria pouring out, the savior complex spilling into full-blown rage. Then Mrs. Patterson. Fragile little. Mrs. Patterson, with her gray curls, whispered from the front row, "Mullen, dear, we never asked you to protect us. We just wanted to live peacefully." And that single sentence cracked the last piece of her facade. Mullen lost it, screaming about sacrifice, about being the only thing between civilization and anarchy, admitting in front of everyone that she had convinced my uncle otherwise before his sudden death. That slip alone was enough to silence the room. Phones were out recording. Deputies moved in, hands on their cuffs. I'll never forget the look she gave me as they dragged her away, red-faced, shaking eyes full of venom. "Nathan got what he deserved for interfering," she hissed, "and you'll get worse if you think you can undo what I built." Even with steel on her wrists, she still thought she was untouchable. But that was it. The power trip ended right there in a flood of her own rage and confession. The woman who screamed, "Get out" at me the day I came home was exposed for what she was: a fraud, a manipulator, a predator feeding on fear. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's simple. Real authority doesn't need to scream to prove itself.